The NBA playoffs are here, but do you really think the play-in teams have a chance?
Welcome back to Life in the Stands. We're excited to jump into all things NBA playoffs. We're going to cover the play-in games, who we think is making the conference finals, and who our future NBA champions are. Before we jump into that, though, remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Let us know down in the comments who you think is making it all the way this year. And with that, let's jump into the play-in games that are just getting finalized. So, Jake, where do you think those 7 and 8 seeds are going to kind of end up? And do you think those seeds actually have a chance in the West or the East?
Yeah, so first things first, let's break down the matchups, right? So as it finalized tonight, we have the number 7 Warriors playing the number 8 Grizzlies, and I believe we have the number 9 Kings versus number 10 Mavs. I don't think the Kings and the Mavs stand a chance. The Mavs still have injury issues, although AD is back. I think they win that first game against the Kings because of AD and how well he's been playing, but I don't think they have enough to beat the other two teams. I think the Warriors could have had the chance to sneak into like a 6 seed potentially tonight. But they lost an OT to the Clippers, which we will get to later. But realistically, I think it means more in the West in regards to having a chance to make a deep run, especially since the Warriors are dropped into that spot. That's just how I feel. I don't know what your opinions are, but I think the Warriors are the best team to get out of the Western Conference play-in.
I would agree with that. The Warriors are definitely far and away the best playing team in the West. It's unfortunate the injury issues that the Mavericks have had. They've obviously had a rough year. They would be much more competitive if Kyrie didn't go down, but there's only ever been one play-in team that made it anywhere significant, and that was the 2023 Miami Heat team, who actually ended up being the 8 seed and beat Milwaukee 4-1 in the first round, as the Milwaukee was the 1 seed that year. And then the Knicks, and then they had a 7-game series against the Celtics. They ended up winning, and then that was the year the Nuggets won it all. So really, that's the only play-in team that I think has ever gotten out of the first round. But I do think the Warriors have a chance to go this year, specifically because of who's sitting in the 2 seed, being the Rockets. The Rockets are still a little young. I've said it before, I feel like they're almost the Thunder of a year or two ago, where they have a lot of talent, they have a lot of pieces, but I just don't know if the maturity is really there yet. The Warriors are 21-6 since acquiring Jimmy Butler, so I think that they do have a good chance to make it past that first round series and make some noise in the West. If we go over to the East, though, I'm not sure any of those play-in teams really have a chance against the Cavs or the Celtics.
See, I originally thought that the Magic could have been a pretty solid team this year, like kind of slide into the 4, 5, 6 range, and they kind of underperformed. I know Paolo and Franz each got injured at the beginning of the year, beginning half of the year. I don't think they ever found their stride. Jalen Suggs won't be there. He's been out for the rest of the year since like that quarter part of the season, first quarter part of the season. That would have been the team I would have had hope for. Not without Suggs, not without their struggles as of late. Who do you have winning these next couple playing games in the East?
Yeah, I mean, I think the seeds are going to kind of stay the same. The Magic will stay at the 7 because Banchero is still there and is a tank. And I like the Hawks. Trae Young is still there too. Trae Young's a playoff performer, especially in the play-in games. He's gotten used to playing in those play-in games. So Trae Young's going to know what to expect. That Hawks team is going to be ready. But again, Cavs, Celtics, way too dominant for either of those teams to stand a chance in the 7-game series after that.
See, I don't think there's a chance because of what you just said. The Cavs and the Celtics are absolutely going to roll whoever wins those games, right? But I think we're in agreement with the Magic at 7. I think we have high hopes for them at least to win the play-in. I have the Bulls over the Hawks, which means the Bulls win 2 games in a row in the play-in. They beat the Heat and they beat the Hawks. I am going with them because Kobe White has overperformed expectations this year. I feel like he continues to beat expectations year after year. Josh Giddey just dropped a monster 40-point game, and he's been rolling lately. I think they have enough to pull out a couple games against equally as talented teams. I want to call them. That's the best way I can describe that to you. I think they're just a hot team right now, and they're like a young developing team. I think this is the experience they need going into next year.
The only playing game, East or West, that I'm super confident about is that Warriors game. And it's kind of a good segue too into an interesting conversation we want to have about some of the old faces of the NBA versus these new stars that are up and coming, right? You have a young Cavs team, you have a young Rockets team, SGA is obviously probably going to win his first MVP this year, but you still have LeBron and Steph and Kawhi, and now you could even throw like Giannis into that mix. Some of these faces of the NBA that have been here for a little bit, and I think it's fun to think about: are we gonna see a breakthrough of those younger guys this year? Is someone like a SGA and a Young Thunder team gonna pull it out this year and win their first championship, or does LeBron lead the Lakers back to the promised land, or does Steph make one last run? Kawhi has looked really good, and obviously you throw Harden into that mix with the Clippers team. It's kind of interesting. Who do you think has deeper playoff runs in general this year? Are we going to see a bunch of young new teams in the conference finals, or are we going to see a little bit of the same old?
In regards to the Western Conference, because I feel like that's where all the old heads are going to be, right? Everybody you just mentioned, except for Giannis, and I think Giannis is still relatively young, right around the 30 range, but the other guys are like mid-30s and or 40, LeBron. So if you haven't forgot about LeBron, I'm here to remind you over and over again that he's still playing. And Luka just revived his career. So LeBron's not going away as an old face. Luka's a new face, obviously, that's helping out LeBron, but I think LeBron being in the mix just like doesn't allow Luka to be the face yet, even if they win. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Now, Kawhi Leonard's back and healthy. That's the kicker. Clippers are now rolling. The Clippers got, I believe, a 4 or 5 seed now. So they have the chance to roll over the Nuggets, potentially, who are blowing up, right? And that's another older-ish team kind of getting there. Joker is a new face. I believe still within the last 5 years, Joker's still a pretty new face. So I think they're going to fall over, and then they're going to run into the Thunder. I think the Clippers match up very well with the Thunder, and I think that's going to block SGA from becoming the face. So that's kind of where I'm getting at with the conversation. And you mentioned it yourself with the Warriors. The Warriors are playing a young team in the Rockets, and I know people are going to be mad at us for like underplaying what the Rockets did this year. I'm giving them credit. But the Warriors going 21-6 with the Jimmy acquisition, like, wow. Like, you cannot overlook that. And one of their losses is OT today to the Clippers. And just a few days ago, a buzzer beater lost to Harrison Barnes and the Spurs. So I feel like you can't overlook anything that's going on with them in regards to their record with Jimmy now.
Yeah, and Steph is one of those guys, right? Like if Steph's on your team, you're gonna have a chance in the postseason. You bring up the Clippers too. The Clippers are 18-3 in their last 21 games, which is pretty much when Kawhi has been healthy, right? to wrap up the season here. And the Lakers even are surging. With Luka obviously playing really well, but LeBron missed a couple of games and they still went 13-5 after the trade deadline. So I think that, in general, I kind of tend to agree with you. I don't feel like the young guys are really ready quite yet. It feels like we're going to end up with like a Lakers Warriors or a Clippers Lakers, or like the only team I could really see making it past the gauntlet of superstars in the West is the Thunder. And I would say the Thunder just because there are so many pieces, and I do like what they did with Hartenstein and Caruso. There's some pieces there that they didn't have last year that I think are going to come in handy for playoff games and specifically some of those matchups. But the Thunder are really the only young team I would put into that conversation of possibly making it into the conference finals, into the finals.
I agree with you. I think there's something to kind of look at as well. And I know the Western Conference is a much better conference than the Eastern Conference if you look at comparing the records 1 through 10 even. So that's including play-in and the playoff teams, right? There's a lot of young faces in the Eastern Conference right now. There's not a single old face over there. I think the oldest one is Giannis, and he's not even old in my opinion. Donovan Mitchell's still young, Garland's young, Mobley's young. Tatum, Brown, young. Jalen Brunson, Cat, young. So you're getting my point here. There's no old face over there, so it's going to be kind of cool to see if we had a new face in the Eastern Conference getting to the finals and an old face coming together to see if there's some kind of clash there. We saw it a couple years ago where the Warriors outclassed the Celtics. That was experience versus no experience, so I think it makes a difference if you want to talk about it in that fashion.
100%. And that's a good segue to jump into our conference finals predictions, and then we'll wrap up the episode with our NBA finals picks and who we believe is going to take home the Larry O'Brien trophy this year. But let's start in the Western Conference Finals. I do think it's going to be Warriors and Thunder. I think the Warriors have a good chance to kind of make that run. I think the Thunder do have enough maturity. They got their lumps in the last couple of years in the playoffs where they have had high expectations and have had really good regular seasons, but then haven't really performed. So I think they're a little bit more prepared this year. So I do have the Thunder and the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, and I do have the Thunder actually beating the Warriors in that series, probably in 7 games. I think that'll be a really fun series to watch. Let's hear your Western Conference Finals matchup.
I went a whole different direction from you. I think we're going to have the Battle of LA in the conference finals. So the Clippers, like I alluded to, 18-3 in the last couple of games. I believe Kawhi's averaging like 25, 7 and 3, something like that over the last 21 games. And that's the important part, as well as they match up very well with the Thunder all around. They have the size, they have the length. Ben Simmons is healthy, for how much I don't want to say that. Ben Simmons is healthy, but he impacts that team, at least from a bench depth perspective. Norman Powell was going off at the beginning of the year, and possibly a most improved player candidate at the end of this year as well. And then as Kawhi got healthy, and he got healthy, they're meshing together very well. I think the Thunder are in trouble. Now, from the Lakers' perspective, they're going to beat the T-Wolves. The T-Wolves are a struggling team. It's lucky for them that they got into that 6th spot, as the Lakers are the 3 spot for the playoffs and host and have home court advantage in the first round of the series. I think that place is going to be electric. And then they're going to play either the Rockets or the Warriors. Obviously, in our opinion, we think the Warriors get the 7. Either a young team or a team that I don't think matches up very well against the Lakers. That's just my opinion. And then I have the Clippers beating the Lakers, because the Clippers always have the Lakers number no matter who is on that squad.
Yeah, I feel like you always kind of bring the Clippers up near the end of the year, the last 2 or 3 years as well. You're high on the Clippers by the time the season ends, which is fair because normally they kind of turn it on when their big stars finally play at the end of the season. So it's fair to think that, for me, the reason why I throw the Thunder in there is really the only young team that we're talking about is because they're first in defensive rating, they're first in net rating, and they're 4th in offensive rating. And you look at NBA champion teams, they're top 5 to top 10 in those net rating categories in offense and defense. And the Thunder, do have the ratings there. They have the sort of historical track record stat-wise to say, yeah, you know what, this team could really make a run. So let's move on to the Eastern Conference, though, where I have the Bucks and the Celtics. Talking about some of the, I guess, older players in the East. Giannis is pretty much the oldest guy there. And then I feel like you have to almost put the Celtics as next up in that conversation just because now they've actually done it. So they're kind of the team everyone wants to take down, right? So I have Bucks and Celtics in probably a 5-game series where the Celtics are gonna pull that one out.
Yeah, I think all the series I'm mentioning in this episode are going 7. So I didn't mention that in the last series. The Battle of LA will go 7. But the one that I think will surprise people, that I have them going this far, is that I have the Celtics, which isn't a surprise. But like your surprise was the Bucks. My surprise is the Pacers. I have the Pacers beating the Bucks in the first round. I think the Pacers have had the Bucks number over the last 2 years since the new tournament started. I can't think of it. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. But basically, the Pacers' offense and their offensive pace can help them stay in games and possibly compete with the higher level teams. They have, I believe, a winning record against some of the winning teams as well this year, and have been able to beat the Celtics again this year too, at some point. And my little twist here is more the fact that the Knicks, from a Celtics perspective, have not beaten the Celtics at all this year. And that would be your second round matchup looking forward.
Right. Yeah, I don't trust the Knicks at all. They haven't performed well against quality talent. So it makes sense that the Pacers are the pick here. The Pacers stick to their name. They are all about pace, right? I mean, it is full throttle the entire game. They're trying to put up 120. They're trying to put up 130. They don't care if you score 110 because they're going to try to reach those thresholds. So the Pacers are a really fun team to watch. I do think it'd be fun to see them take on the Celtics in the conference finals, but I don't think that series would go 7 games. I think that would be closer to 5 or 6 if they got there, just because I don't know if the Pacers have enough to really stack up with what the Celtics have in top-end talent, but I see you're wearing the Pacers shirt. Maybe you disagree.
Here's where I get mad. I think the Celtics made it to the finals last year because they played a bunch of banged up teams. The Pacers, when they weren't healthy and were missing Tyrese Haliburton for a couple of games, had opportunities to win basketball games, and they couldn't close the game out. So a guy like Tyrese Haliburton could help. Benedict Mathurin was out for the back half of last year as well. He can help. I think you're looking at a different series when healthy.
It'll be really interesting to see. But let's go on now and pick our NBA Finals champions. So based off what we said so far, I'm going to have the Thunder and the Celtics in my NBA Finals. You're going to have the Clippers and the Celtics in your NBA Finals. I wonder if we're in agreement about who takes it all.
I got the Celtics. I don't even think it's close because they have the same core and same continuity as last year. I know I just kind of complained about their injury run of last year, but I think this is the year they prove it even more. There's no way of breaking up that core in the way they play. They do depend on the three-point line a little bit too much, which scares me against a team like the Thunder, if the Thunder do make it, or even the Clippers, because the Clippers are a good defensive team as well. So I guess we'll have to see, but I'm definitely going the Celtics here in 7.
Yeah, it's hard to take anyone other than the Celtics with the core that they still have there, and everyone's healthy, right? This is, assuming that everyone stays healthy throughout the playoffs, but the Celtics have the best starting five in the entire league. It's not a conversation, and they have probably the 6th man of the year in Peyton Pritchard. So if you're looking at playoff rotations, maybe the Celtics have to play 1 or 2 more guys throughout the playoffs, but other than that, you're dealing with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Kristaps. Like, you're dealing with it for 40 minutes a game. So, unless you have something to stack up with that, which no team in the NBA does, you're kind of out to lunch, and you have to hope that your bench just absolutely overperforms. Or, you never wish for this, but if the Celtics do face some injury struggles, then that would change things a lot too, because there's not as much depth past those, 6, 7, 8 guys as maybe other teams like the Thunder or the Clippers. We appreciate everyone watching and listening. Again, let us know down in the comments who you think is going to win the NBA Finals this year. Drop us a like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel, and we'll see you on the next episode.